Hello everyone! Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief Recap! Today is, let's let YouTube kick in here. Are you kicking? Back to the Yay! It kicked. Today is Tuesday. Working our way through the latter part of July now. Actually, you kind of feel a bit of a calm coming back to the world, so that's kind of good. I saw that the Europeans made peace with each other overnight, signed their latest stimulus bill, so good to see. Calmer's heads have prevailed. Fascinating to see, though, that on that event, we have an acceleration of selling in the US dollar and an acceleration of everything just going risk up through the roof here today. Risk on, risk off, everything is just ratcheting higher. That's a bit bothersome because let's call a spade. Not everything can go all up together at once. That's, in my opinion, a very bad sign. I don't know whether I talked to you guys about this. I know I definitely talked about it with the community. But last week, actually I put a tweet out to that effect, but last week there was an interesting post by Kramer, of all people, referencing a gentleman who we actually respect on the site quite a bit, Larry Williams, talking about a market pivot coming in near the end of July here. And even gives an exact date. Now, when this guy's saying, well, the stock market's going to top in like 2 weeks, are you going to go short the stock market in front of that? And that's probably not the smartest thing to do. So I get the impression we're almost in like melt-up mode here, which is dangerous. This is not healthy. This is not sustainable. Everything cannot all go up all at once. And, specifically with regard for you guys, I put together our chart deck here. I'm getting a little worried of what the hell they're doing to the US dollar index right now. I mean, you can see it. We obviously, if we're long equity and we're long crypto, obviously we're feeling pretty good here. And we're even long crypto that even in their own names, they're rallying, regardless of what price they are in BTC. So that just shows you how a little bit nutso things are getting here. But, we start the conversation off with the good old US dollar index, and you can see they are just taking her to the woodshed. And I was worried about this. I had sort of put out two different scenarios. Whoops, where did our bear scenario go? Oop, maybe I got rid of it. Oh, that's not good. Anyway, I did a tweet out with, maybe it's off a different chart, showing both the bullish and the bearish scenario coming out of this pivot, and it looks to me like this might actually be a continuation, which means what we really want to do is just flip this around. This is crazy, man. Oh boy, this is gonna get nuts. I tell you, this could get absolutely insane here. So if this is a midpoint pivot, let's see if I've done this correctly. Yeah, probably going to look something like that. So I don't know. I mean, this is getting dangerous. You can see the bought short levels. And if anything, this is why it's always a good idea. I'm going to just put this back the way that I had it. And I have this done up off another chart. So if I'm going to make reference to that, I'll do it over there. Clearly this scenario is off the table with this point broken here. Now I have to ask, okay, how deep do we get here? But this is like the ultimate risk-on scenario in my eyes. And I suppose with Mr. Kramer's forecast for a market pivot, the end of July, I think he's calling it for like July 28th. Well, I got to tell you, man, everything's set up here for the stock market and risk assets to go all absolute apeshit bananas. So go figure. Can't write better fiction than reality. Really great anecdote. Try not to get into the business of predicting the future. You can see my prediction of the future is not being well served here at all. And obviously, my opinion right through this pivot event here is worth exactly how much you pay to watch this video. And I'm perfectly fine with that. See, I'm the type of guy that I don't need to be right. What I need to be is to see that I'm following rules that I laid out, which force me to act. And then, of course, when those rules are validated or invalidated, I act as well. I never really did have a clean setup here to either get long or get short, so I didn't take this trade. But, you know, it's important to acknowledge levels. And frankly speaking, I can understand a guy who says, look at Brian, I trade the bot, and look at me, I'm now move my stop to scratch, and I'm fast approaching actually starting to have permission to lock in profits on this trade. And, you know, I have full disclosure, like I said, I was thinking that this was going to pivot in here and we were going to turn back up, but that's just not the case. Considering the extremes of this move, you know, the highs are all the way up here, the lows are all the way down here, I would be thinking to be looking for a bottom in the US dollar index through this window now. But it will only be a bottom when it bottoms. And even now with the breaking of this low, I have to be thinking A, B, C, D. And I have to have this target as 92, what does that say? 92.97 as my objective here. That would be my expectation. And of course, this is music to risk takers' ears. This is exactly what the risk takers want to see. And also, too, this is music to people like gold bugs' ears. Because really, if the US dollar's value itself, keep in mind that the gold price in New York is quoted in US dollars. So if the value of the US dollar is falling, then that means by definition gold has to rise. So we're in an interesting window here. You know, next couple weeks, things could get absolutely chaotic in the market. Welcome to Crazy Land. You know, 2020, I suppose that's par for the course, right? So let's go take a look at risk on, risk off and see what's happening. I think like on Tuesdays, it's so cool. We have Kevin come on, and the reason why we're doing this video a little later today is Kevin chatted with the community quite a bit about different things that he was seeing, and we were kind of in agreement. I think he was looking at the NASDAQ. But it sure does feel like they want to push this market higher. And of course, with the breaking of that high, now we have to be thinking higher. Very, very risky again, of course. But, you know, these governments keep coming in and guaranteeing the floor. In essence, that's what this stimulus package out of Europe passed today is. In essence, they have guaranteed prices once again for the market. So does that mean that equity can now push its way higher? You know, what does this mean about the value of the euro? That's a good question unto itself. From what I understand, the European stimulus was a little less than €1 trillion, whatever the hell that's worth. And so that's quite a bit less than what the Americans did. Be interesting to see now that this stimulus package has been passed. Do all the swap lines that bailed out things like euro-denominated Airbus, I think they pulled down like $200 billion in swaps through that crisis back here. Do those swaps now go back the other direction now that the Europeans have officially confirmed this bailout package? And literally a fifth of that money, it was a $1 trillion package, a fifth of that money should instantly go right back to the Fed. Does that happen? I don't know. Tinfoil hats, conspiracy, Rothschilds, who knows. Anyway, long and short of it here, still a bull market in equities. We did not officially top out. Remember, I was super interested in hunting shorts there. Took a short, covered it, all the breadth indicators and stuff. And yeah, keep in mind, breadth indicators probably kept you out of trouble here. This is one reason why I really want this kind of tool to be up and running on the site. You can see the breadth indicator turned back up here a while ago. So, you know, thinking bearish until this turns back down is probably not a good idea. very wide. And this is probably this 2 week window where over this period into the end of July, the slow moving average slowly gets dragged up into the overbought camp here. Flash another sell signal, and that's when we should start thinking about shorting again. It's been kind of fun with you guys here. I haven't taken this trade, and it'll be interesting. My hunch is actually this demonstration here will actually probably lose a lot of viewers of this stream, because I'm going to demonstrate how to professionally lose money. But what the hell. We're going to keep hunting short setups here, looking for the 50% retracement of this big up move. But also, too, how to effectively try and attack that. We saw a double top come in here, and we thought, okay, maybe that's the point at which we break. Nope, stopped out. So then we saw a doji spinning top with a gap lower. That was a reload zone. So we're like, okay, maybe we'll short that gap, risk to new highs. Well, okay, trade's working. Nope, stopped out. So here we are. We just made another new high on this guy. Interesting how we're now finally coming up and filling in that gap that we've been talking about forever. Notice, too, there's also a couple cheeky gaps all the way up here, too. Notice that's 78.6 off of this entire range. So I've told you guys recently and in the site and public, I don't really want to invest in oil. Has there been money to be made on the long side of oil and playing these oil stocks on the way back up? Yes, there has. I'll fully concede that. This is more, I guess, a political statement. Kevin says, watch the political statements, Brian. I'm like, so this would be my political statement. I don't want to invest in oil because it's a dirty 20th century story. I want to invest in the future. Is my bias maybe involved here a little bit because of that negative bent, and I'd like to see oil prices come down and the oil barons go out of business? Yeah. But that's here nor there. We're probably, we'll have to now, for our next short attempt, we're going to have to wait for new levels to come in and new price patterns. So as it stands right now, Brian's 0 for 2. And, the irony of it all is Linda Bradford-Ratchke, she used to always say, I even asked her point blank, I said, how many times would you take a shot on a long or a short idea and then give up? And she says, 2. 2 is the magic rule. So if you're wrong 2 times in a row, maybe just leave it alone and just cool your jets. But anyway. We'll wait for a new pattern, inside bar, gaps, reload zones, whatever. Should be a fun exercise. And we'll see how much money we can professionally lose here until we actually get our 50% retracement and see what the ultimate end result of all this was. Kind of a fun experiment. And FYI, like I said, I'm not in these trades. It's just a pure paper demonstration. Brian can lose you money. Probably best not to subscribe to his newsletter. TRI management goes, what? What did he just say? Shut that guy up. And you guys all know on YouTube why I do these videos. It's more for fun and the passion of the market. And if anything, hopefully learn from all these rants and these crazy comments that I have. Okay, so moving on, risk on. Looks like it's catching a bid, and with the US dollar tanking here, that makes sense. It's interesting how our little stock market proxy had that big honking upside-outside reversal Kevin pointed out recently. And it's just been bumping along. It still hasn't broken this M, which is fascinating. You can see little stocks. What do you think? Are we having a half-decent day here in little stock land? So fascinating that the broader Russell 2000 isn't punching higher here. I would have thought that would have happened, to be honest with you. Heading over to risk off. Now this is what has me really scratching my head. Like I said to you a few minutes ago, we can't really have a market where everything's all moving up together. This is not healthy. It's not natural. It's not normal. And if anything, this is the tell of, the old adage. Something smells too good to be true. Maybe I have a jaundiced eye. So something's not right with this image, and that's back to our sort of risk off kind of proxies. It's interesting to see the bonds actually gapped higher here, right on the open. They're dojiing right now. Still stuck in this little bit of a range, but if the stocks are really as strong as they say they are, this thing should be crapping out. So that's a little bit suspicious. Didn't quite hit that bullish upside objective yet. I guess I'm a little worried that what happens when we get to the end of July, all of Kramer's people are going to be dumping stock, and that's the end of the bull, whatever. And then this thing takes off. I don't know. I do find it interesting, and as we'd sort of said earlier, gold's kind of caught in this funny little paradigm, I'm not quite sure, where, you know, historically it's kind of like, oh, it's the end of the world, go run into gold, bury your head in the ground. But I think it's actually not that way. I think what's happening here now is the Fed has come in and massively increased the money supply, M2 studies, all that kind of stuff. The ECB has massively increased the money supply. And of course, keep in mind, this is exactly what these central bankers want. They're going to just instantly go and buy that debt right away, bang. Then they can do their 10x, 20x reserve lending, so they can go flood the market with new paper. So all the people that were in debt, oh gee whiz, we're just going to roll over your bad debt, no big deal. They can control the size of the economy now. They can literally, you know, if we believe that the Fed's balance sheet is $7 billion or thereabouts, even if we do a 10x reserve lending requirement, that means the Fed can expand the economy to $70 trillion. You know, what's GDP right now in the United States, and how is it formed? Turns out most of the GDP that you see printed is just simply houses just being flipped. There is nothing actually being created in any of this GDP. So put it all together, that, in my opinion, is actually massively price inflationary. And interestingly, if you look at gold in like M2 dollars, it keeps getting depressed more and more and more. So in a weird sort of way, just for gold to stay the same, it's got to crank higher. So, you know, this is absolutely music to Peter Schiff's ears. This is exactly what he wants to see. This is exactly music to guys like Da Vinci's thinking. He's going to be so happy through this next 6-12 months. And frankly speaking, we don't even know how deep this coronavirus crisis goes. And we might have to do another 10 trillion. And that's going to launch gold even higher. Woohoo! Party! Good part about it, of course, for all the crypto kids, is the whole reason why we're interested in Bitcoin is it's kind of like your digital gold. So we should see crypto and Bitcoin enjoy the rally as well. Finite supply. The altcoins, that's more speculative. But it wouldn't surprise me if Bitcoin does relatively okay through this crazy hyperinflation time we're in right now. Okay, so got slightly ahead of myself there. So long and short of it here, obviously gold names. Very happy today. Gold proxies that I have on the books, you know, smartly higher. But at the same time, too, are you buying value at $1,800 now? It's actually interesting. I don't know whether you guys have been watching the silver stocks. Everybody on the site, including Kevin, because Kevin's such a rock star. It shouldn't surprise anybody. Just killed it. We got all excited about a stock whips just recently, Great Panther Silver stock, and it just went absolutely insane, and I missed the goddamn trade. I think is it GPL for you down? Kevin's down in the States. Yeah, there it is. So look at that beautiful bot. I mean, just absolutely textbook. Come on now. They want to hear your voice here, Kevin. Kevin, did you take this trade?
Yes, I did.
Way to go, Slick. So, Kevin, total rock star, just owning this silver market. The funny thing is, we talked about it on the site, and I got my order sitting right here. They just said, "Sorry, Brian, fuck you. We're leaving you behind." So it's the way it goes, you know. What do they? I think I even said yesterday, you make some, you lose some. You make on the swings, you give back on the roundabouts. Nicely done, Kevin, and everybody on the site trading the silver stocks. They're having a great old time. So the point I just wanted to make was that, the silver bugs, congratulations. I remember a couple months ago I got a little upset at a guy wanting to invest in gold and silver. I'm worried, of course, that this is exactly like Bitcoin and crypto in the fall of 2017. 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, 10,000, 11,000, 12,000. It just kept going and going and going. I got a funny feeling that's the same scenario here with gold. So, make hay while the sun's shining. It's definitely an uppy market. I don't know whether I would consider it investment grade at these prices, but so fucking what, Brian? Market doesn't give a rat's ass what you think. Heading on over to Stockland, and it's kind of funny. I'm having some wonderful adventures with these Canadian bank brokerages. Go look at my Twitter feed. I mean, it's almost laughable, what a joke they are, and they just don't care. That's the worst part about it. So, the video that on Through the Broiler Chickens, I encourage everybody to watch about how the central bankers are literally putting the banks out of business. Yeah, that's something that I think everybody has to learn, that the central banks themselves are now actually going into competition with the banks and the banking industry that theoretically they were originally created to oversee and regulate. Now they're actually trying to put those banks out of business. Canada is a really great analogy of how bad that situation can get. Because in Canada, keep in mind, the capitalist system set up in Canada was set up by the 1%. Nobody gives a fuck about Canada. And there's no such thing as real freedom here in Canada. We are a very staggeringly controlled oligopoly system here in Canada. So, my adventures with the Canadian banks and their brokerage arms is a fantastic analogy. They just don't give a fuck about me, which is really sad. I mean, what a terrible commentary. But they just don't care. And that's probably the world that we're moving into. Do you think the Federal Reserve Board in the United States is going to care about your local banking issues in Hoboken, New Jersey, or Tucson, Arizona, or Huckleberry, Nebraska? I mean, they're not. Do you think the ECB? Do you think Christine Lagarde could really give a rat's ass what's going on in anyway, some backwater town in Europe? So. Interestingly enough, I actually think that this whole concept in DeFi and cryptocurrency is actually the way out. And we as a public need to embrace that. And I think that is our future. So it's fascinating how old man Brian is fighting with dinosaurs that are really technically obsolete. And it's fascinating to watch how they're really trying to consolidate power here, but they don't even realize what's going on underneath their feet. It'll be interesting to see, because I think ultimately what ends up happening is these central bankers try to take over the digital currency system, and they'll just require their citizens, if you want to be a citizen of our country, you must use our digital currency. And that will be the ultimate expression of these central banks completely taking over. How we in the crypto space interact with this Goliath, that's going to be an interesting battle for the 21st century, I'll tell you. And frankly speaking, I don't fault the millennials for looking at the way CIBC looks at me as a customer and leaves me on hold for 2 hours for 2 straight days with absolutely no interest whatsoever in me as a customer paying them money to be a customer of them. They have absolutely no interest whatsoever in any customer service. They just don't care. So, in that kind of environment, does it make sense that this millennial generation says, to hell with this? This is a joke. It doesn't surprise me one bit, and frankly speaking, I commend this generation for telling the 1% that this is unacceptable. So, congratulations, crypto and Bitcoiners. You are the future, in my opinion. So, just keep on keeping on. Having said that, because we buy value, and I tried to explain this to the site people today, I'm not really too concerned about not getting filled today. I mean, basically the brokerage platform is down, and when it comes back is entirely up to the bank. I think that they've taken advantage of this window through the summer, because remember, all the pros, they're not in the market. It's just us public fucking around. And, like I had said earlier, you saw that image of all the assets all going up right now in unison. Somebody is completely fucking with the market right now. There's no doubt about that in my eyes. So, having said that, because we buy relative value and we buy undervalued assets, I don't really have a problem if I can't get filled today because, in either of these assets, and, same thing on Mana when we look at it. But you tell me, just looking at this one. Yeah, I want to get my fill, damn it. Sell half on a double so I can tweet out how wonderful I am. But you tell me, has this thing got any potential to move any higher here? Ironically enough, my brokerage house might actually be doing me a favor not letting me sell right now. So, that's a funny anecdote of what we do. So, I'm not really too concerned. I'm going to chalk it up more to the simple fact that they've made some bureaucratic, arbitrary decision to tell their customers they're not trading today. And 2 days in a row is not good. One day I can accept that, but this is now 2 days in a row where I can't even get somebody on the phone to enter an order. That's a bit shady. And honestly, I think one of the reasons why I haven't moved my account to interactive, where I probably should be, is just because Brian's so lazy. Anyway, all right, so needless to say, lots of TRIers. We're banging out lots of double tweets today, and I think I even put a tweet out earlier today to the effect, somebody in the lounge said, I can't believe how many doubles. It's just day after day after day. Well, it's a bull market, and in bull markets, if you buy value, then this is when we get rewarded, and this, of course, is when we have to pay ourselves for all our hard work. So, generally speaking, I look at my account equity and it's moving in the right direction, but I'm a little cursed at now this is what I would consider unprofessionalism. In essence, I should be able to trade my account, and I cannot because some company person has just decided that, well, we're not going to open up the platform today. Too bad. That is unprofessional in my opinion. But anyway, rant over for now. Looking at the corn, considering all my talk about the kind of silliness of the market state right now, I think it's completely understandable why we have a nice little move to the upside here on Bitcoin today. And I noticed, everybody's catching a pretty good bid. You can see Ethereum's right back up against the top end of the range. We might be actually setting a base for a nice, serious move higher here, but, I'm more than happy to actually think about seeing it. I've got, really stinky bids on some Ethereum December puts that I'm going to see if I can try and pick some up. But that's just, buying insurance down the road, right? They don't expire till December. I've got some Septembers on, and I think I've told you recently on Bitcoin, can I get a rally back up above 10,000? I'll probably look to buy those December puts on Bitcoin up there. So I do like the idea of the market moving higher here, so this looks good. And, I don't think that the big money in this current market state is being made in Bitcoin. I think it's being made in all these funny little altcoins. Them CIS went absolutely insane yesterday. I know Kevin's all excited about this Ambrosia. Algorand seems to be working away. This VTC that I even talked about yesterday. Look at that pretty chart. If I was going to go and buy a setup, I kind of like sneaking in here, which I did yesterday. Looking for, has this thing got any kind of room to move up here? So that's the kind of the part of the market that I like and I'm playing. I think I even specifically mentioned Mana to you guys yesterday. What a good looking chart. I totally remember I said, hey, check out that little double bottom that's coming in on Mana. And from what I understand, I think like Samsung is getting together with Mana. You tell me, has this thing got any room to move up here? So this is the kind of part of the market that I really like right now. And of course, when these things pop, that I'm paying myself, they come into double levels, that kind of thing. And I'm not buying a hell of a lot, but I did I would consider this VTC. I've already got some, right? I actually started accumulating back here. So I just actually added a little bit more there. But you can see where my double level is. Gets up into that level, I'll be letting them have some of that. There are interesting setups. Kevin walked through the site on an interesting one, trying to come in on OMG. By all means, anybody who's a site member watching this, there are. Go check out Kevin's talk today. It's like an hour long. Great stuff. Great presentation from Kevin today. We talked a little bit about some of these stealth coins. Be careful on them. But are they trying to bottom? Is there going to be regulatory war after these stealth coins? I don't know, but they sure look interesting down in here. I don't know what's going on, but, somebody's obviously stepping up. You have to be careful, though, with coins that are just listed on Trex. This is actually Binance, so that's okay. I do know that there are some delistings, so be really careful with the little pieces of shit in here. They could be problematic, so just be aware of that. And frankly speaking, both sides of the equation. Let's call a spade here. Like I said before, I do like the idea of Bitcoin actually working its way higher here. And believe it or not, these actually set up trade setups. That's a W within a W. And I was telling the site this morning, you don't know what the future is going to hold. Nobody does. All you can do is just trade your setups. So this is an interesting conversation. We're watching volume very closely in here. Can we actually start making higher highs and higher lows out of the green bars? So we're very interested, but not quite indicator confirmation. But you'll notice 1 low, 2 lows, 3 lows. Are we going to actually W on the other side of this trend line? Very possible. So what would this sort of imply? I don't know whether I'm a big fan of this bot. What the hell? Market's going to do what the market does. And if we're going into Fed printing press, insanity, US dollars collapsing, gold's going to the moon, maybe that's what Bitcoin does here too. As I said there a moment ago, coming up into the top end of the range, I will take a real good look at December puts. If we just blast our way through here, obviously I'm not going to step in front of a train. But if we rally up into those RLZs, kind of like what I showed you on this weekly chart, right, where is that? There's the reload zone up there, right? 98 up to 10,000 and change. Maybe, 10,100 seems totally logical. I could definitely see thinking about sneaking in and buying a put up top there. I don't know what the hell I've done with the chart. Oh well, don't worry about it. So interesting level here. Right? I wouldn't fault somebody if they said, well, you know, Brian, I got 1, 2, 3 lows. I'm going to buy this W and just simply risk against these lows, and let's see where the wind blows us. I really wouldn't fault you. And interestingly enough, sort of my fractal scenario, if we play out like this, my hunch is this push up here, kind of like what we saw on that US dollar index. Now, anybody who did take this bot short, well, they moved their stop to scratch. So maybe this is a bottom and we are going to do Brian's crazy thesis here, but they'll just walk away at scratch. Well, I could see the same thing on that Bitcoin trade. You know, in fact, there are the levels, right? So, and I thought this was interesting. So, as I said, I'm going to be watching this level right up in here like a hawk. But check this out. Notice the LJ. Typically, we like to hunt 2 to 1s off of that. So, what a coincidence. If I buy the LJ and I risk against these lows, and I just simply force myself to take profits at 2 to 1, or maybe take like 3/4 profits, move your stop to scratch on remaining, whatever. That lines up almost perfectly with the bot entry and then move stop to scratch level. That's that conversation that I just had with you a second ago, where if that move is the top, well, the botters, they just get stopped out at scratch. Do see that happen quite a bit in trading. So, you know, I'm a little suspicious about breakouts without volume confirmation. This looks very suspicious. But, you know, the old adage, right? Traders got to trade. If you take this W and you're, you know, 2 to 1s, if you take the W and try to front run the bot, and we hit that 2 to 1 kind of idea, then botters, they move their stop to here, so they'll even walk away with a small profit if we back off. And then, like I said a moment ago, if this is this crazy fractal, and this is what I think it is, because to me, this totally feels like violently flat. And remember our sort of Bitcoin as a leading indicator kind of thinking. I think the stock market right now going to new highs is exactly like Bitcoin did here. And then, you know, into that end of July, Jim Cramer kind of talk, stock market tops, and then spends the next month and a half just grinding lower into the end of the summer. Wouldn't surprise me at all either. So, okay, I don't know whether that helps or not, but it sure is interesting times in the market. Don't have to worry about face rips down now. So it's not like there's any calamity in life. So get out there and enjoy the summer. And the weather, and of course if you can take advantage of this bull, I would highly encourage you to do so, because man, there are a lot of uppy markets right now. Okay, everybody, have yourselves a wonderful rest of your day. All the best, and bye for now.